Welcome back to MLM Recruiting Mastery System. In this module, we are continuing with objections. And these objections are all fall under the doubt, will you help me? Because will you help me? So, a couple questions, right? Some of these questions people bring up. How much are you making? How many of you actually had a prospect ask you that? How much are you making? So these are attacking questions. The reason why they bring this up is you have not been confident. Right? So you must be confident with posture. Like if you were confident in your invite and your approach, no one was going to ask you this question. But if you kind of weren't confident, people ask you. They're attacking you. So the only way to salvage this is you have to be confident with posture. Because remember, think about this. They need you, but you don't need them, right? So I have a couple rules. Number one, never tell them how much you're making because you're either going to be making too much. If you say, I'm making $1 million, they probably think you're making too much and you're lying. Or maybe they may think, you're not making enough and maybe the business is not worth it. So even just say, I made $1,000 my first month. If you made $1,000 first month, maybe for some of you, that's incredible, right? But they may think, that's it? Right? That's it? So you're not making enough. Or they think you're lying. There's no way you're making $1,000 a month. Right? So instead, this is what I like to say. So I don't tell anyone how much I'm making. All I know is that my business is going great and I'm learning and growing every day. It's a ton of fun too. The question is, how much do you want to make? Okay? You see how my tone, the way I said this, I don't tell anyone how much I'm making. All I know is that my business is going great and I'm learning and growing every day. And it's been also a ton of fun. Now, let me ask you this. How much do you want to make? Right? The best way to answer a question is with a question. Okay, remember that. The best way to answer a question is with a question. Right? That's a communication strategy. So you have to answer confident. If you answer that confident, no one's going to bring that up. No one's going to ask you that, okay? The best way to answer a question is with a question. You answer with confidence and posture. You can also say, if the people insist on it, my earnings have no indication of how much you can make. You can earn a lot less or you can earn a lot more. The question is, how much do you want to make? Okay, and to emphasize, practice intonation. How much do you want to make? And then just say I want to make $1 million a year, or I want to earn $10,000 a month. So you can add, all I know is that this business is great and I'll be leading the expansion. I'd love for you to be part of this so you don't miss out. So let me ask you, when do you want to start earning income? Okay, see how I answer that? All I know is that the business is great and I'll be leading the expansion. I would love for you to be part of this so you don't miss out. So when do you want to start earning income? Another question is, how much people do you have? Okay, now that is a wrong question to ask. So first of all, it's a misunderstanding because this business is not about how many members or downlines you have, but how much volume and products are sold. For example, a team of 10 distributors that move over 1,000 products of volume a week is worth way more than a team of 100 distributors that do nothing, right? So it's really about the volume, not about how many people you have. And you answer this with confidence and posture. And I'm going to share an experience with you. I was in Malaysia. This is early on. I was in the business for 2 years. And I had about 30-something people. Actually, my first year I had 30-something. Second year, I had about 60 people in my downline. And this guy from Dennis in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia asked me, so I was out there expanding. Our company was out to grow and expand. They opened a new market. And I said I was a leader. Right, I'm leading my company expanding. He said, well, how many people do you have in your downline? And I have 60 people. And so throughout the next couple of days, he didn't join, but he was asking, so Simon, I had a question, bothers me. If you're a leader, you have 60 people in your downline, right? I was like, yes. And he's like, well, if you are a real leader, why do you only have 60? I said, well, I'm growing my business. Things are great. I'm growing. Right, I was very honest with him. I didn't have much success my first 2-3 months. I didn't know what I was doing and never had any sales and business skills. I slowly picked it up, and now my team is growing. And then that would shut him up. And then, but he didn't join, but he'd go to the trainings. And one day, he pulled me to the side after, I invited him to my trainings because I saw that he was pretty committed. And he said to me, Simon, I still don't get it. If you're a leader, how can you only have 60 downlines in a year and a half? You're in the business. So I kind of got annoyed with him. I just said this to him. Hey, Dennis, all I know is that the business is awesome. I'm growing super fast. This business going to explode in Malaysia. I'm leading the expansion. We're going to grow a huge team. Doesn't matter if you join it or not, but I'm going to be growing a huge team. Years from now, you remember we had this conversation. Now, Dennis, are you in or out? And I said that exactly to him. I stared at him in the eye. I was kind of annoyed, right? Maybe that time I was younger. I was more cocky and confident instead of more humble. But I was just looked him in the eye. And by the way, the difference between cocky and confidence, cocky is sometimes putting people down. Confidence is being confident, but you never put someone down. But at that time, I kind of want to put him down, right? I was like, we're going to be, I got so annoyed of him keep asking that question. So I just looked at him, stared in the eyeballs. I didn't even blink. Are you in or out? And you know what happened? That he joined immediately that night. And that's what it is. People are testing your confidence. It's kind of like the best way to explain it. I don't really play cards, but like poker, right? People are calling your bluff. Like if you're not confident, people can call it. If you're confident, people may buy into it. I'm not saying to trick people. You shouldn't be tricking people because you have a vision, right? You visualize your success already. You're always prospecting the future. And at that time, I saw myself building a big team in Malaysia. So I wasn't lying. I said, you're in or out. We're going to grow a huge team. And by the way, that team in Malaysia eventually also helped me build and support, gave me experience to expand in Philippines. And some of those leaders in Malaysia helped me expand in the Philippines. So the Malaysia thing led to another new market, right? Led to a global business. So confidence and posture. A couple other objections here is loans. Can you loan me some capital to start my business? Right? Never, never, never do this. Simply say, I'm not in the finance loan business. Now, I can help you start earning income, but if you need a loan, I suggest you talk to a friend or your local bank. A prospect may say, oh, I have credit card debt. Okay, I don't have money. I don't want to put this on my credit card. I simply say, have you ever heard of no money down real estate? Right? Would you, like when you buy a house, do you invest it in your money or invest with someone else's money? What do you think the best businessmen do? Do they invest with their own cash or the bank's money? Right? Business people borrow startup funds and then use their profits to pay back their loan. So credit card is great. You're using other people's money. Someone else may say, I'm in credit card debt already. I don't want to be in more debt. I simply ask them, how much do you owe and what's your plan to get out of the debt? Right now, they may not tell you that figure. But if they say that, you know, if you don't tell you, so I'll say, well, you know, if you're already like $20,000 in debt, what's another $500? Or if you're $5,000 in debt, what's another $500? See, what's there to lose? But what happens if you do become successful? See, that's the question. You always want to get people to visualize their success. What's the best thing that can happen if you do this? Most people think about the worst thing. Get them to think, what's the best thing that can happen if you do this? Now, some prospects may say, I'm satisfied with my life now. See, these people forgot to dream. They have dreams and put them aside, right? Your goal is to guide them to see the dreams, and then the second step is for them to recognize that they must change and do something to achieve their dreams. Ask them, if you didn't have to work, what would you do? That's the question to get the dream down. If you didn't have to work, what would you do? Now, if you could do that all day, what would that be worth? If I could show you how to achieve that dream, would you be open to taking a look at something? Right? And if they say no, then you just move on. And by the way, it's just the same way as the MLM objection. If they say no, you move on. You just want to get someone to agree to taking a look. Now, someone may say, I've got to think about it. Let me ask you, do you think your prospects will go home and actually think about it? No, right? It's a cover-up for the real objection. There's something that bothers them, and your goal is to find the hidden objection. So if you ask them, what do you have to think about? See, your prospects can get defensive and close up. They know that if you tell them the real objection, they're going to try to convince them, get them to join. So they'll never tell you the real objection. You remember, the defensive and closed prospects are no good. You want to get them to open up. So the goal is to get them to open up instead. So this is what you can do. You can ask them, I absolutely agree you have to think about it. So this surprised them when you say that, because they actually think you're going to fight them, but you actually agree with them, right? And then your second question you ask them, you must be serious, or else you wouldn't have to think about it, right? They have to agree with you, or else they will lie to you, right? So you say, you must be serious, or else you wouldn't have to think about it, right? Third question is, just out of curiosity, what do you have to think about? Is it my personal integrity? So here's the key question. Just out of curiosity, what do you have to think about? You pause for 1 or 2 seconds. Is it my personal integrity? And then they're going to say, then they feel bad, right? They say, oh no, it's not. And then you're going to follow up with this with another thing. Is it integrity of the company? Then they may say, no, it's not. Is it the products? No. Is it the training? Is it our team? Is it the earning potential? And so on, etc. And so you can come up with all these things, right? Is it doing home meetings? Is it doing this? Is it doing that? Your prospect, you keep saying it, and they'll say no until finally the real objection comes up. They'll say, oh yeah, it's the price of the products. So then you go, you got it. It's the money objection, the price objection, which we have covered already. Or they may finally, if you say, is this, is it that, is this, they'll say, oh no, Simon, it's this. This is the reason why. They will come up with the real objection. And once you get the real objection, okay, you find the hidden objection, okay, then you can answer that. Okay, so once you get the hidden objection, you help your prospect overcome that objection, and then you go for the close, or you ask them. So then you can ask them again, do you have any other concerns we will help you move forward and start earning some income? Okay, so every time you overcome this, I've got to think about it, overcome that hidden objection, you immediately go back to the close. So do you have any questions before we help you get started? Do you have any other concerns before we help you move forward and help you start earning income right now? Okay, and if they say no, that means they still have some objections. You have to help a prospect overcome all those objections. Here's the I need to do some research objection. Okay, this is for analytical people. It's very similar to the I need to think about it, right? And you can say, confidently say, from my experience, you can research all day and not understand the business. It's like researching sushi. You can do all the research you want, but would you really know how sushi tastes like? You just have to try it out. Correct? And what happens is when you research, you lose time and opportunities. And time and opportunity is money. So don't worry about researching it. You're going to have 30 days in the business. And you can do all the research you want. Right? And then, by the way, you can say this if your company has a money-back guarantee. So that's why our company has a 30-day money-back guarantee, because you can give the business a test drive. And you're going to learn more in 30 days, and you know this, you're going to learn more in 30 days of training and working with the team than you ever do by researching from home. And if you don't like it, after working with the team, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can return the products and return the business and get your money back. Here's the next question. I'm not ready yet. So this is the same as think about it. Okay, you ask them, again, if you ask them, why not? Why are you not ready yet? Again, they'll be defensive, right? So never ask that question. So instead, agree with them and say, and follow the same think about it process, okay? Absolutely agree. If you're not ready, then don't do it. And then you're going to ask them, just out of curiosity, if you're not ready yet, that means you're pretty serious about it, right? So then you can go, again, follow what we just reviewed about think about it. Fish out the hidden objection. Here's the objection. I need to figure everything out. Again, this is the same as think about it. They will never figure it out. It's just like figuring out how sushi tastes like, right? You're going to learn more by going to the trainings, doing the business, and testing it out. Take a test drive. Okay, here's an important disclaimer for dealing with analytical prospects. So analytical prospects, many won't sign up on the first or second meeting. And if you push them too much, they may get turned off. They love to study and study and study. So let them go and research and figure it out a bit, okay? But after you give them time, and if they've really taken the time to go over things, you have to just confidently go all out and get them to join, because they need that push. These are paralysis by analysis. They will study, and never do anything. So you have to push them to get started. Okay, so just tell, hey, I know you thought enough, you've been studying and researching, you just have to, it's been like a couple weeks already, you need to get started, because you're going to learn more in 1 week than all this research you've done. Now, I need to talk to my spouse, right? Again, we kind of covered this. I'll be more than happy to talk to your spouse. If you just tell her this is good, this is what's going to happen, you really don't know how the business works, and she'll get the wrong picture. So I'll be more than happy to spend some time and talk to her. So remember, you have to talk to the spouse. No money. Okay, no money objections, again, falls into, can I do this or will you help me, right? If they feel 100% confident they'll be successful, everyone will come up with the money to do the business. So most of the time, it's an excuse and indicate they don't see the value of the business. If they saw the value, everyone will come up with the money. So there's a hidden objection that prevents them from seeing the real value. So for example, would you buy a new Mercedes ML 550 for only $5,000? Or brand new MacBook Pro for only $500? Definitely you would buy it, right? No, maybe you won't. Maybe you're skeptical. But if I got you to see that's a real car, brand new, somehow, this woman, she broke up from her ex-husband, hated this ex-husband, is willing to sell everything cheap. You saw the car, you tested it out, realized it's good. You definitely buy it. Even if you never had the money, you would save and you would borrow money, you take a loan, you sell things from your house to come up money with that car. And even if you don't want that car, because you know that car is right now in the market still worth $30,000, you can immediately make $25,000. All you have to do is come up with $5,000. Or like a MacBook Pro, it's worth like $2,500, right? You can get it for $500. You make sure it works, you buy it, you borrow the money, and then you can resell it. So again, everyone has the money. The reason they say they don't have the money, they haven't seen the value of the money. So here's some ways to overcome no money. One of the ways I love to use it, is, why do you think I brought this opportunity to you? And let them answer. Why do you think I brought this business to you? And let them answer. And then you confidently say, well, this is exactly why I want to share with you, because you don't have any money. I know you work very hard, but how does it work so hard for so many years and not have any money? You deserve it. You need to get started. Okay, what's your plan to change your situation so you have more money? And then you listen to the plan. And if they have no plan, then you suggest they get started, right? Now, if you do have a plan, such as like a second job, ask them, well, at the second job that you plan to take, how does this compare to what you plan to do? And then you listen. You can also ask them, what are the advantages and disadvantages? So you want to get a second job. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Another important thing to ask them is, aside from having no money, are there any other reasons that would prevent you from getting started? Okay, this again finds the hidden objection, the real reason. And the prospect may or may not tell you. If they tell you, it's great. If they don't tell you, then you can use the direct approach and just tell them that you know they have the money. I know you have the money, but it's your fears that prevent you from getting started. And I'll give you an example. If their loved ones went to the hospital and needed $1,000 to live, they will immediately come up with the money. Okay, so I like this direct approach I use. So from my experience, I know you have the money, but what you really mean is that there's a few things that you're unsure about, and that's why you're holding you back from getting started. So what concerns do you have? How can I help you? And when you say that confidently, like the way I just said, a lot of times your prospect will agree. They will just kind of let the guard down, and they will share with you what's really holding them back. But you have to be confident for that to work. Another way to answer the no money objection is get them to start thinking, can they achieve their dreams? So if you know what their dreams are, then you can get them to see that network marketing is the only way they can achieve their dreams. So for example, if they have no money and you know their dream is to buy a house for their mom, you can ask them, if you were to do this business, would you be interested to make big money or little money? And you let them answer. And they ask them, and they'll say probably big money, right? And they ask them, what would some of the things you would do with that money? And most likely they'll say their dream. So you ask them, at your current job right now, how long would it take for you to achieve that dream? And they'll probably say, it'll take forever. And then you can suggest, do you see how network marketing can help you achieve that faster? Okay, so we just went over what I call the dream close, which we will review again in the next module. Okay, you basically letting them see that network marketing is way better, much lower risk than for them to stay at their job. What about prospects that have no money, but they want to get started? And once in a while, there's a real reason. Maybe a prospect really is interested. They want to get started, but they're waiting for the next paycheck to come in. So if this happens, the key is if they're not investing money, you have to get them to invest time. So start working, because if you don't invest time, don't think, call me back in 2 weeks. By the time you call back in 2 weeks, so much has happened in their life, that money is gone, okay? They spend the money, or they're not interested, they're interested in something else, or they're distracted. So if they're not investing money, make sure they invest time. I have signed up so many people this way, but they didn't have money and they were legitimate. They were probably on the borderline, 70% in, but 30% out, but they said they didn't have money. I'll just invite them to my trainings, my team, get them plugged in. And once they saw there's real value in the trainings and they actually improved their lives and it was a lot of fun, when they got the paycheck, they put everything aside and they used the money to get started. So get started working with them, but you got to set requirements and commitments to see if they're really interested. So they have to go to trainings, right? You start training them, and you start training them after the new distributors. Get them with the goal setting, have them make a list, teach them how to invite, introduce them to the team. And often, once they see that, all the fears will go away, and they'll come up the money. A lot of times, also, they'll come up the money a lot quicker than they said they would. Because again, it's all about an excuse, right? Everyone has the money. Now, you have to be an authority too, okay? Be an authority. What does that mean? You have to predict and let them know what happens. So, for example, if someone says, I need to talk to my spouse, so I'll be more than happy to talk to your spouse, but I'll tell you, if you just talk to her, this is what's going to happen. Because you really, since you don't really understand how to explain everything, your spouse will get the wrong picture, right? That's one way. Be the authority. Just let them know. Another one is, from my experience, if someone says, I got to research all day, I got to think about it, I got to research. From my experience, you can research all day and not understand the business or get a wrong perception. It's like researching sushi. You can do all the research you want, but would you really know how sushi tastes like? You just have to try it out. See, when you be the authority, be the authority after letting prospects share the thoughts will help them erase the doubts. The two doubts is, can I do this or will you help me? Because you become so confident that, wow, you're the person that can help me. Because most people don't speak with authority, right? People always follow leaders and who are confident. And being confident will make you someone that people want to follow. Now, being in control. Kind of review here. The one who asks the question is always in control. And that's why it's so important to listen. So don't talk too much and always, always, always end a sentence with a question. If you actually go back and listen to a lot of the objections that I covered, they always start with a question, right? Even my favorite one, what do you mean? Right? That's a question. When you ask a question, you're in control. You're actually kind of using questions to guide the prospect to help. They basically convince themselves. They answer the objection themselves. And that's why also the first person who speaks after the question always loses. So if you ask a question and there's silence, don't go in and butt and start talking because you lose. You give up control. So overcoming objections with questions, right? Ask questions to get them to see the benefits. If they don't have time, ask them, well, how would your life change if you had more time? And let them answer. And then you can ask them, do you see why we need to help you get started? If they say they have no money, ask them, well, how would your life be different if you had money? And after the answer, then you can ask them, do you see why we need to help you get started? If they don't know many people, you can ask them, well, how would your life be different if you expanded your network and knew more people? And after the answer, you can ask them, well, do you see why we need to help you get started? So in summary, for objections, always listen and find out how you can help prospects. You're on a mission to help people. When people don't join, nor buy, they've deprived themselves of something that benefits them. You have to do your best to help them overcome the objections, but it's ultimately their decision. Okay, this teacher and student is like the teacher and student who doesn't study. Your teacher can force the student, get us to do everything to get the student to go to school and study. But ultimately, if the student plays hooky, doesn't show up, becomes a truant, doesn't show up at school, it's not the teacher's fault. But the teacher has to do everything to the best ability to get the student to go to school and do the homework, right? It's the same thing. You got to do everything to help your prospect overcome the objections and get started in the business. And we're going to cover this. Is very related. It's a very good transition to the next section, which we're going to talk about closing. Last thing, the one who asks the question controls the conversation. So always ask and listen. And when you're asking these open-ended questions, your prospect basically convinces themselves.